Okay, for your style guide, make sure you review the previous video I talked about. You need to update your flowchart. This is considered what we would call as a linear chart. So to get to the contact page, I have to go to the home, then I have to go to the actual about page, then I have to go to work in that order to get to the contact page. So you need to be hierarchical. The other thing that's missing here, you got to have your wireframe and mockups added to your style guide from task 1. So make sure you do that. The other thing I want to double check on as well, and I know there's some inconsistencies here, and based on the links that you're getting given to me. Now, the URL for the phone one is not coming out right, so I'm not sure what you uploaded. Um, so there's an issue with that because it's coming up the same thing as desktop. So I'm not sure if you uploaded it correctly. If you just upload it, it should do it for you automatically. The only thing I can think of is you actually created a subfolder. Let me see here. So let me copy this over real quick. Yeah, I wonder if you created a subfolder called phone. Yeah, that's what you did. You don't have to create a subfolder. It automatically creates that for you. So when you upload this, you don't create a folder called phone. Just upload to the staging, and it's going to create the folder for you. So your URL becomes this up here at the top. Um, the issue I have is though every page the font choices are not consistent with your style guide. So if we go to our desktop version and I click here, you're using Comic Sans. If I go back to your style guide, here's your Comic Sans paragraph. Okay, so I want to make sure. Now you have a heading here, and that's the Comic Sans heading, and it should be either Sophia or Lobster 2. Sophia is the main heading, Lobster 2 is the main. So there's some inconsistency. So now if we go over to this about page, now you got Arial, definitely not Comic Sans, so it's totally different. So we got to have that consistent on every page. So that's the first thing you need to work on, is getting the fonts consistent on your mobile and on your desktop version. Now, with that said, I still think we can do some tweaks to some of the content. Now maybe did I open the wrong desktop version? I see this, and then this desktop version is totally, oh, that's because you have it in the phone folder, right? Yeah, so, okay, now I was looking at the wrong page anyways. So, you got all this white space. We need to work on this, do something a little bit different, for that purpose. Just because we want to utilize the space a little bit more effectively. When you come in here on this page, there's a couple things, like there's an extra space before the here. You want to delete that. If not, put an extra space in between any of your paragraphs. Got to keep it consistent. Bold, italics, important phrases, especially in this line, or those lines there. Um, this almost feels like you're shouting to us, and then also I don't think that's the right font that you decided to work with. So again, you're using Arial there, and then that's your style guide doesn't indicate that. So that's a big issue right there, for that. So we really got to get that. What I would do is I would cut, well, on your desktop version, I would cut out welcome. And I don't think we need to have home there. So let's just take away home. Because they go to this page, they know it's the first page. So you have, let's go in and we'll do Sophia. Let's make it large. Okay. We're going to center it. add that color. I'm going to click the black arrow. I'm going to click on effects. I add a little shadow to this, make it a little bit of a harder edge, change this down to 2, blur, distance 2. See, it just makes it a little step, stepping up. And then I'm just going to resize that. Um, I think what you can do here is add another text box right below this, um, and say something about what type of designs that you work with and what type of designs that you design. Um, or like to order a custom tumbler. I want to point out things like, for example, oh, I can't think here, but like have a heading. And then right below that, have a bullet list. List out what you can do. Okay, something like that. Of course, we've got to change the font choices. Now, you might want to use paragraph styles that we learned, because that will make it easier to copy. And all you have to do is once the style is created, all I have to do is select this and click on body. It applies that style. And then what I'm thinking that you do is down here at the bottom, create another box, and let's do a design quote by you. Come up with about maybe something like within 10 words, and then let's make it so maybe Sophia again. Make it larger. And just kind of give us something unique about that. So that will help with that layout for that purpose. Let's quickly look at your phone layout real quick. Let me close these other ones. I'm going to pause this for a second. Yeah, for your home, I really think that these thumbnail images are going to be too small. So what I would suggest doing is adding some ruler guides here. And so I'm going to go in 10 pixels and come over 10 pixels, so that'll be at 370. And so what I'm thinking that we do here and let me make sure that's the same. If you're going to do a square, okay, so I think you have to do it this big. I'm going to duplicate this across. Again, we don't need to have the home page there. And so if you want to do, so if I select both of these, let's move this down. If I select both, all I have to do is hold down the Alt key and Option key from the Mac, drag it down to create duplicate. It's the same feature you do in Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign. And then what I would do is bring my text up here, add that list from the home page. Okay. Now the logo, just look at this logo. I think the logo is a little bit too small because you're not going to be able to read the SBD. I think it looks like a P. So I want to make sure that's large enough. Okay. So I'm going to move that over to the side. Okay, so maybe something like this, something like that, so it fits in. But I think that will help with that, making sure the logo stands out. There's this pink box on the About page. Let me look back here on your mobile. I assume you haven't gotten this to fix yet, so that's fine. You can work on that. Yeah, so that might be something that's on your master page. So down here where the pink box is, what you want to do is you want to right click. Okay, it says footer item. So this one doesn't say footer item, so I'm going to right click on choose footer item there. But yeah, it looks like, I don't know if that would cause it. So it looks like these bottom of the pages, it looks like for some reason when I right click on the about page, if you're on the Mac control click, go to page properties, the minimum height set to 1377. Okay, typically we have it less for that. Here it's like 570. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in, change that to 570, because if you have more content, it will automatically grow. It's just saying the minimum height is that. So now what that might do might throw things off on our page. And I'm trying to figure out, I wonder if I have to go in. I'm going to reapply the about page to that, see if that helps. Yeah, so now the other thing you're going to have to do is this qualifications text box, because of the footer, it thinks it's a footer. So what you have to do on this page is to right click on this qualifications and turn off the footer item. Now when you move this down, it will extend down to where you need to. The problem was is this was also, there's two things. There's a footer area, the width, the height, and when you place anything in a footer area, it'll think it wants to be at the bottom of the page, so it throws off your layout. Okay, so a couple things you got to do there. Looks like you got to do the same thing over here. So this box right here, if I right click, see I'm going to turn that off, and that automatically extends this down. Now see the height here. Now what you can do, probably can go back into the Muse, do the same thing. Drag that over, and that should correct it. And then right click, make sure that the boxes down here are not set to footer. Okay.